Welcome to the Sumn on Sports podcast featuring Perm, aka New Orleans. You wonder why they call him aka New Orleans? Because he's the Big Easy. Say what's up to the people, Perm.
What's up to the people, Perm? The Big Easy, huh?
The
All
big
right.
you like that one,
Okay.
huh?
New Orleans, that one will stick.
Well, no, I know it ain't gonna stick, but I know you like
No,
that
that
one.
one's not gonna stick.
You know what I'm
That one's not
saying?
gonna stick. New Orleans. Hey, I'm always down for new nicknames. You know what I'm saying?
Everybody in
Always
our
down
crew
for
got 17 nicknames.
facts.
The only way you can
Facts.
be official. Well, welcome back to the podcast, y'all. Obviously, this is our second version of the podcast or the second episode. In today's episode, we have some fire topics for you guys. We want to talk boxing. So obviously, we're going to talk this Ryan Garcia situation. We're going to talk about the new rules for the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul bout. We want to talk about these playoffs a little bit more. We got some more funny stuff to talk about and a new skit to roll out for you guys. So let's get right into this today. Let's get right into this Ryan Garcia business, this Ryan Garcia nonsense. How do you feel about Ryan Garcia getting popped for PEDs the day before and the post fight? You know what I'm saying? Test.
Yeah. So like I'm of the idea that like performance enhancing drugs are cool as long as everybody's using them. Like I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem though
I
with
did not
like
expect you to go there. I did
I
not
mean, that's
expect
just
you to
how I
go
look at
there.
it. Like, if everybody's gonna do it, just let them do it. I want to see how good a human being can be. But no, in all seriousness, when it comes to like um a boxing fight, right? Like, and one person is on performance enhancers and the other is not, man, I don't if I'm Devin Haney, man, I'm hot, dude. I'm real hot. Like you're gonna go in there, you're gonna miss weight for one, right? So you go
Right,
in
right.
overweight and you've been juicing the whole fucking time and you just come in and whoop my ass, like that shit's not cool at all. That shit's not cool at all.
You can't.
Now, Garcia's saying that he's not doing it, that he didn't do it. He said that he hasn't taken any steroids ever in his life. So, you know, take that for what it is.
But it wasn't necessarily steroids. What was it like let me see here. I'm trying to find the name of the drug. They said it might have potentially been a second drug as well. But that hasn't been solidified. That hasn't been put on whatever documents that they put it on. But
Yeah.
he here's my thoughts. I feel for Haney for all your same sentiments and for the fact that he got trolled for a month before the fight. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you troll me, you try to embarrass me, you're doing drugs, all this stuff. I also do agree with you though. Like that's why I think it's funny why I started laughing when you said, I don't care if they're doing PEDs. I'm of the same ilk, no matter what the sport is. If everybody's doing it, I'm cool. Now,
Yeah.
you can't be, taking steroids and fighting people who aren't on steroids, but that's something that I think that boxing or whatever has to get figured out because let me look how many boxers have been suspended for PEDs in the last 5 years.
I don't understand how they don't make that. Well, here, I do understand why they don't announce before or they don't suspend a fighter because there's just too much money involved, right? There just
Right.
is. And they can't have gone through all that just to have a pop test and then now your main event's off. Like it financially, it's just not in their interest to do it that way. Um, while you're looking that up, I've got some
So,
quotes here from
uh,
Ryan Garcia. I'm going to
hold on one
read them
second.
to you.
Well,
Oh, you got it?
I got a one list. I'm gonna read off some of these names and then read off those quotes, and then I'm gonna go back and find some more because this list is 4 years old. But these are
Okay.
just some notable fighters that have been popped for PEDs. This was 4 years ago. This list was made. So Tyson Fury, Canelo Alvarez,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Eric Molina, um, Gamboa, Roy Jones Jr., Julio Cesar Chavez. So that's a list of some very top tier boxers that have been popped for
Yeah.
PEDs.
Yep.
So we can't if we're gonna go hard on Garcia, it's fair, but you still have to remember all these boxers did it too.
Yeah. And in a vacuum, like if they were fighting each other, I wouldn't have a fucking problem with it. Right? Like juice up and go at it. I'm gonna buy the pay-per-view. But I don't like it. Like if Devin Haney tested positive for PEDs too, fair game. I don't give a shit.
Right.
But the imbalance is the problem that I have, and I'm not gonna give Ryan Garcia a pass because I don't give Canelo Alvarez a pass when he popped. No pass. I felt the same fucking way. Same thing with Tyson Fury when he popped. I felt the same way. I don't think that that's cool to go to knowingly enhance your body so that you can go in there and like physically harm another person. Like that shit's not cool. You know, you playing baseball, you want to juice up, go hit some fucking dingers. I don't give a shit, dog. Fuck it. I don't care. You want to strike some people out, go for it, bro. But
Yo,
you want to punch some people in the face, and tell the other dude you're juicing so he could juice too. And then
bro,
I'll watch that.
I'm looking at this list of boxers that been have doping cases.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just some of the boxers that have had doping cases and been suspended for doping and stuff like that. So Muhammad Ali,
Yep.
Canelo Alvarez, Evander Holyfield, Roy Jones
No
Jr.,
surprise.
Amir Khan, I forgot about that, Vitaly Klitschko, um, like I said, Julio Cesar Chavez, Tyson Fury, Gamboa, Luis Ortiz, Shane Mosley, Tommy Morrison,
Yeah.
Eric Molina,
But Tommy
Eric
Morrison, to be
Morales.
fair,
Yeah, I
he
know.
had to get rid of AIDS. So
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
know.
he gets
I
a
know. I
pass.
know.
Like,
Pernell Whitaker,
mhm.
um, Antonio Tarver, James Toney. So, there's a bunch of, they have doping cases. I can't say all these
Yes.
boxers have been suspended or they have all been in trouble, but they've all at some point popped for something and had to either go back to their B sample or whatever it was in order to get cleared. But I mean, I don't know how I feel about a B sample. If that A sample was, I ain't never took a drug test and thought to myself, if I failed, my B sample, I ain't never failed a drug test that I shouldn't fail. You know what I'm saying? Like in my life, and I've taken a lot of drug
Yeah.
tests.
Yeah. But you took those drug tests because you were doing drugs. You didn't just take them to make sure that you weren't on PEDs to qualify on every 3 months to earn a paycheck, right?
That's a wild
Like there's a
accusation.
difference. It's a difference
That's
when
that.
you're getting.
That's a wild accusation to throw at me live in a podcast for the world to see. I may or may not have been doing drugs.
No, I'm saying like you did a lot of. I mean, we all did. I had a lot of jobs, right? And they want to know, hey, are you smoking weed? Hell yes, I'm smoking weed. This is fake piss that's going into this goddamn bottle. We were
uh,
having a conversation about it last night. I found out there's a new thing. You remember the Whizzinator, right? Now there's a
right.
thing called the urinator. You don't have it's not an actual, fucking dick that you're carrying in your pants. It's just a regular tube. So yeah, I mean, I don't go through those links. I go to the store, give me a little $20 thing of fake pee, and I figure it out, man. I'm not spending $100. He's like, it's an investment. I'm like, you take a lot of fucking drug tests, bro. You need
Yeah,
to
I don't.
take fewer
Well,
drug tests.
I ain't had to take a
When
drug test. I ain't had to take a drug test in shit, at least a decade.
when you have to invest in passing, like you have to make an investment in passing a drug test, you're taking too many. That's too many.
Yeah, you might be
You
right
can't just
there.
randomly drop 20 like I'm doing this so much. It's gotten so expensive. I need to invest in equipment to help me pass these things. That's crazy, man. But then again, you know how you get to a bar and people just be talking. Anyway, so like back to the steroids thing. I look at this the B sample and the A sample. I don't know enough about like false positives to have a real opinion about their validity and whatever. I know even in the UFC, right, in MMA, there's a long list of fighters who have popped. And my look at it, my view is not an overarching Ryan Garcia sucks at life now. John Bones Jones is a fucking cheating ass prick, which that might be true. But then again, I feel like he's been like I think the B sample came back for John Jones. It was I don't know. I just look at it. So for Ryan Garcia, I'm like, does this mean that he's just a bad fighter? I'll never fucking watch his fights again. No, I just think for this Devin Haney fight, if it is in fact that he used this Osterine PED or whatever, that's not a good look, man. That shit's fucked up. You took a drug to enhance your body to walk in and beat the tarnation out of somebody. What happened if you killed them? You know,
Right.
and people, you can kill a motherfucker in a goddamn fist fight.
Right.
Like
Right.
you can
Right.
kill somebody, you can beat someone to death, and you're going in there with knowing that you've enhanced your body to inflict maximum damage. And that maximum damage could include death, and that shit is irresponsible. I think it's negligent. And to be honest, if I fight somebody in a fucking sanctioned event and they cheat like that, I'm suing that motherfucker. You could have killed me, dude. You kidding? Like, there's rules. Like, this ain't the streets.
Yeah,
There's
you're right.
rules,
You're right.
motherfucker.
Has anybody ever been sued in a fight for has anybody ever been sued for fighting somebody who popped for PEDs?
I don't know. I don't know. If I'm Devin Haney, I'm gonna be the first one. That's crazy. It's crazy. We're in a fist fight, dude, and you
How do they
juiced your body up to beat the trash out of me. What if I walk in with a bat? It's the same thing.
how do they figure out the split of the fight now?
I think it's predetermined. So I think it's in the contract that if for whatever reason you're disqualified, that your purse, something comes out of your purse, I'm sure.
Oof,
Yeah.
that's rough. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I feel for Haney. Let me ask you this. So do you think that in or 10 years, the belts in boxing are going to be as important as they are now? Or do you think it's going to be more about these people building their brands and being like Ryan Garcia? Because like I would say Ryan Garcia is probably would be one of the top five
Internet
boxers when
competitors.
it comes to fan favorites. Fans are going to tune in and watch his fights. Do you think that it's going to get to the point where it doesn't matter because you're going to need to get somebody like Ryan Garcia? I know that we didn't even talk about this in our pre-meeting, y'all, but this is something I thought about earlier when I was writing the topics down, and I forgot to write this down, and this just clicked in there, and I wanted to talk about this in this topic. So, do you think that eventually that it's just going to be more important, your name's going to be more important to make more money, or do you think that the belts are still going to matter in 5 to 10 years?
I think it's going to be a little bit of both, right? And I know that's kind of a cop out, but I think you're always going to have people who want to see champions, and you're always going to have people who want to be champions. And eventually, we're going to have a charismatic champion again, right? That everybody kind of gets behind. But I don't think that what we're seeing now, this celebrity kind of prize fighting or internet sensationalized fighters, I don't think that's going anywhere, because the popularity of YouTube, the popularity of these internet personalities, and the popularity of fighting, like people want to see folks fight, right? And so if you have this guy that you've been watching and 100 million kids watch every fucking day, you grow up, they grow up with this dude, and now this dude's like, I want to fight this other guy. Yeah, they're gonna tune in. I don't think that that's gonna go anywhere. We can see the popularity is just, it gets more and more popular, um, and everybody wants to fight everybody now, right? Stephen A wants to get in the fucking ring. Like,
Stephen A is
I
going
don't
to
think
get worked out by
I,
whoever
I would pay so much money to
yo,
watch that dude.
yo,
So much money.
Stephen A is about to get worked out. That was a topic I wanted to talk about today too. I forgot to write that down.
Yeah.
I can't believe I did. But Stephen A,
Oh, the Stephen A. I would pay so much money to watch Steven Jackson. If you Steven Jackson jump into a ring with Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen Jackson was heated talking about
Mhm.
Stephen A. And but
Yeah.
it's fair. It's a fair point. Um, I really want to talk about that topic, but I really probably shouldn't talk about that topic. Um,
Why
so I
wouldn't
guess
it?
I guess we'll go ahead and we'll go ahead and pivot to that then.
Yeah.
So Stephen A. Smith has been on Fox News a lot lately, and he made the comments. I don't even have the comments in front of me because we didn't talking about this
I don't
before.
need him. I know what that motherfucker said.
So go ahead. I'll let you take the floor for a second.
That motherfucker said that black people relate to Donald Trump because he's a criminal and gets harassed by the police. Stop it.
Right.
Stop it. Fucking
Right.
stop it.
Right.
Stop it. I'll punch Stephen A in his stupid face, dude. Okay, look, I'm gonna take that back. That's just me I'm just being silly and real shit though. Like, that shit's not acceptable.
It's not. It's
Stephen A. Smith, man. You're on Fox News now.
What's wild to
That's
me
how you
is
getting down.
what's wild to me is to compare because again, neither one of us are racist. I shouldn't have to say this, but Perm's mixed. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the same
Which
freaking
doesn't
neighborhood as
preclude
him.
me from racism,
Right.
right? It
Right.
doesn't
Well,
preclude me from racism. I could
yeah,
very well be a
I
racist, but
guess
I'm
you could
not.
be. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
He's
not.
not. I'm not either. Right. So, but I don't think that it's fair to compare Donald Trump being under all these investigations for pissing off rich white people to black people being oppressed forever. Like comparing Donald Trump, they want to send Donald Trump to jail for the insurrection on my birthday. You know that should happen on my birthday, right?
I do. Yeah.
That should happen on my
That's
on
just
my
wild,
birthday.
dude.
Yeah, wild. On my birthday, Chris died that day too. That sucked. It was a rough day.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
comparing somebody who grew up, who was a trust fund baby, who's always been rich, who has a history of doing nasty stuff to people, whether it's not paying for the work that he's contracted out. So he's contracted out so much work. All these contractors have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to put these casinos and these places together for Donald Trump. And then he bails out on the project and doesn't pay them nothing. Then he takes them to court and goes through all this litigation. They can't afford to go through the litigation because they've already spent $300 for all the materials in order to get your fucking shit together. Then you decide, yeah, just a lot of shit. And that's before the
yeah.
presidency, all the stuff, mocking the, disabled people, freaking getting up there and acting like you go to church and you can't even freaking pronounce Corinthians, freaking, you know what
My
I'm
man had the
saying?
Bible upside
Yeah,
down when he took
yeah,
that
yeah,
picture.
yeah, man.
And
My
now
man,
he's selling Bibles, which to me, like, I look at, and I don't even really, I'm not even going to go down that road. We could do that offline. My man's selling Bibles, which is just heresy. It's crazy. Anyway, I Stephen A. Smith, I don't understand. But I do understand. So Fox News is cutting its checks now, right? And so you do what daddy says,
right.
period. Period. So, if you want to use that term, feel free. If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a fucking Uncle Tom. Oh,
Samba.
dog, hey, they cut his checks, man. They
Sambo.
cut his checks. And then he immediately comes out and says some crazy ass shit. Look at like Tucker Carlson, right? Tucker Carlson was on Fox News for years talking wild,
Right.
wild. He hated Donald Trump, but he couldn't be him like his real self because Fox Daddy was cutting his checks and they said, nah, you're now loving Donald Trump. And so that's what he had to do. But there's video or not video, but audio of him actually talking shit about Donald Trump behind, like on hot mics and stuff. And all that stuff came out when Fox News got sued for their fake news shit. You know
See,
what I'm saying? And so
here's where
I'm just saying that Stephen A. Smith he belongs to them now. He ain't.
here's what gets me about the way that I'm not even mad at anybody if they voted for Trump or Biden, right? Because
Yeah,
I'm an independent. I don't gang bang. So I don't rep either one of them parties. I don't gang bang. You know what I'm saying?
you don't
I
rep that same smart tech.
no, I don't rock that. We do not rock the same smart tech, dog. We do not go they did not go to school here. You know what I'm saying? Like,
No,
you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? They aren't from here. So I'm not like on a side of one or the other. I could understand if you're a black person and you would want people to vote for Trump, the way that you should talk about that shit instead of trying to make him relate to black people when it's just not. Like his life is the complete opposite of what the black people that they're trying to compare him to, like the people who do get harassed by the cops or whatever the case is.
You're thinking about this too
Well,
logically,
no,
though,
no,
bro.
no, well, I'm saying, um, I don't have a
He don't
problem.
reflect them white people either.
No, but
He does not reflect those
what I'm
white folks
saying is
either, dog.
I could understand if you want to make more money and for the economy to be in a little better of a situation, you could vote for Trump. That's what they should say. Instead of all this other funky ass shit, that's what I'm trying to get around to. Is just be like, hey, taxes
But
were
I
a
mean,
little
that's
better
just
for
not
me.
true either.
Money was a little bit shit.
It's
For
not. No, you have to understand. Listen, so the taxes that we're talking about now, Trump did that.
part of it. He did part of it.
Our tax breaks were temporary, while the rich tax breaks that he gave were permanent. So our shit ended just in time for them to be able to blame it on Joe Biden. Go back and look, dude. I was talking about that shit when they first did it, and didn't nobody want to listen to me. They're like, oh, this new tax thing is great. It's over in 6 years, dog. We're done. And then our shit gets hiked up. Now we're like, why are we paying all these taxes? Donald Trump did that. America was not in a better place. We were not in a better economy.
I don't know.
Everything, dog, we went through COVID under Donald Trump.
So I guess
we needed. I see what you're saying, though. I do see what you're saying. You don't like the angle. You think there's a different angle that they should be playing up instead. I just don't know that any of it's founded in any real fact. I personally, I couldn't care less why they do what they do. What I don't want is for somebody to come and stand in front of America representing Black people and telling us that the reason that we relate to him is because
what I agree. I agree with that 100%.
We're criminals.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%.
That's crazy.
Like, I don't think I don't never like when any one Black person gets in front of the world and tells every Black person this is the route we should go.
We're not a monolith.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we've kind of touched on that long enough. It's a sports podcast. I know it's about Stephen A. Sports.
We did. But we couldn't let that ride. Stephen is wilding, though. He's tripping for that shit. And it's going to be interesting to see how teams or players relate to him going forward.
Right.
It's going to be because they've already been like jumping off the Stephen A. bandwagon for a little while now. And I don't think that players hearing that shit are gonna feel like not even welcome, but like they gave that dude his career because he made them feel like they could trust him, and I don't think that that's there anymore. He's gotten too big for his britches.
So if you're Shannon Sharp, then how do you feel? Because you're tied to him.
Who's cutting that check, Daddy? Who's cutting the check? In this world, man, all you got to do is follow the money, man. If you are not looking at the money, then you're looking up your own ass, or you might as well be. Look for the money. You will find out. You can predict the future with money. I can tell you, because people like this is so like I say this to a lot of people, man. I met a dude last night at the bar. He's like, let's play this number on fucking Keno or whatever. I'll put in 2, you put in 2. I only had a 10, right? He's like, so how are we going to split it if we pay 10? I'm like, dude, we're going to split it 50-50. I don't give a shit. Money don't run me, man. I don't care about money. You and me, we have conversations about it. I'm like, I could give a rat, right? And so like I can't be controlled by money. You can't predict my behavior by how much money I have or don't have.
Right.
But there are a lot of people in this world who are driven primarily by money. You can predict their behavior. I can know exactly what a person's going to do. All I have to do is watch what that money's doing. If it's up, I know what you're going to do. If it's down, I know what you're going to do. If it's down, can I trust you? You know what I'm saying? If your money's down, you're going to be the same person? I don't know. So yeah, with Shannon Sharp, it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't think that Shannon Sharp is a money chaser, but he has been on some real weird shit since he left Skip, man.
You know what, man? I feel like
that Amanda Seales interview was weird.
Yeah, but I could only stomach about 30 minutes of that shit, man. Because Amanda Seales is like, she's too much. She a lot. Because it's like here's what Amanda Seales doesn't understand. We want to root for you, and we try. Like the only reason that we watch, that all of us watch. Okay, let me stop that because I'm speaking for all Black people. But but the reason that we watch that damn podcast is because we wanted to give you another chance. We want to hear your perspective. We want to hear your side. We want to hear what you have to say. We know it's probably gonna be a little messy, but we continue to watch shit with you in it because we want to give you another chance. And it's just like, ugh, God, you should go again.
Yeah. But at the same time, Shannon Sharp was a mess himself, man. He was a mess himself. And so like I don't know what he'll do. I don't think he'll say anything, is what I think is gonna happen. If I'm being honest, I don't think he'll do anything. What that says about him, I don't think it says anything. I don't know that you always have to say something.
Yeah, I guess I agree with that. I
If
agree
he
with
comes
that.
out and says something in support, I would say that would make me have a question, I guess. But at the end of the day, like, I can't hold Shannon Sharp accountable for the things that Stephen A. Smith said. I wouldn't, if you said some wild shit, I wouldn't want anybody to hold me accountable for that shit, right? I'm like, hey, CJ's his own man. I have no comment.
I'm gonna be like, and that nigga, you know what I'm saying? New Orleans co-signed that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Nolans.
New Orleans, oh Big
Listen,
Easy
y'all.
over here.
Listen, y'all.
Oh
Listen, y'all.
man,
Don't
man,
worry about that
man.
motherfucker.
All
Flip
right.
gonna do what he gonna do. He gonna do what he gonna do. Right.
The producers are tapping in right now, and by producers I mean me. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go ahead and get on to this next topic. So I guess we're gonna go ahead and move on to the NBA for a little bit. Let's talk about these playoffs. And it's kind of weird, for the first time in a long time. It's this going to be the second round of the playoffs. We got no Steph Curry, we got no Kevin Durant, we got no LeBron. So the young guns are taking over. I'm happy to see it. I know there's a lot of talk in when you're in these forums or you're in these groups, or people are always asking, what's the NBA going to do when LeBron retires? Or what's the NBA going to do when Steph and all these players retire? It's going to do what they always do, replace them with the next set of stars. We have some great up and coming stars coming. We already have some great European stars. We have some Ant Edwards who are just nasty. Wimby. I mean, come on, y'all. Wimby, that dude about to take over and be the league. So, before we get into talking maybe more about the individual games, what are your thoughts on this next generation coming up? Do you think that the older generations like LeBron, they can make it back to, a deeper run, maybe a finals run, maybe a conference finals run? Steph, you think they can make it to a conference finals run? Or do you think it's now the young guns are taking over and it's over for the old guys?
Well, I think the first thing that we have to see is what happens to wrap these playoffs up, right? Who ends up coming out of the West? Do we consider Jokic a young gun? Obviously not, right?
Nah, he's about to
So
get there.
really, in order for them to kind of take over, they're going to have to beat Jokic in Denver this year for me to say that takeover is complete, right? Just on the LeBron and Steph thing, I do think that they can make another run. I just think that the way that their teams are constructed right now, it's not possible. Klay Thompson is not a number two. I don't think he should retire, but I don't think you can pay him max money and expect to be viable in the playoffs. And so, I think that the Warriors can be improved. I think the roster can improve. The same thing with the Lakers. I think that they have some options, I think, this offseason. I don't know. Do you move off of Anthony Davis? Maybe. I don't think that they will. I think that LeBron and Anthony Davis can get to a conference finals again. I think that they're going to need to stay out of the play-in tournament to do so and stay away from Denver, stay away from
Right,
that 10 seed. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right.
I think they need to have kind of maybe a 4 or 5 matchup,
But
but I think it's possible.
but I feel like here's the thing that's weird about when you're thinking about the Warriors and the Lakers. I feel like they actually would benefit more from being in staying away from Denver. So let's just take Denver out of this. Whatever seed Denver is, if Denver is the fucking second seed, you don't want to be the seventh seed. If Denver is the
Right.
first seed, you want to be the eighth seed. So, but I feel like it does a better service for the Lakers and the Warriors to play a team like Oklahoma City or Minnesota versus playing the Clippers or Dallas. Because I feel like the stars on the Clippers and Dallas have more playoff experience
Yeah.
than Oklahoma City and Minnesota. So I do feel like if they fall into a matchup like that, unfortunately, they didn't get that matchup. Because I did say that. I
Right.
said, hey, I think if the Lakers play Oklahoma City, they can beat them niggas. They can beat them niggas in 6 games.
Yeah.
But it's Jokic and that Denver lineup. It's too much for the Lakers. The Lakers are
Too
they're
much.
too much for
Yeah.
them.
But to answer the question, though, like the question would be, can they make another run? And you can't avoid Denver forever. right? So yeah,
right?
you can avoid him in the first round, you get him in the second round, you get him in the conference finals, whatever, right? But the question though is, can we see another title run or conference championship run, right? And I think that we can. I think that those rosters have to change though. They
I
just
agree.
do.
I agree.
And so,
I
no, go
think
ahead.
that I think that when you're looking at Golden State, I think that they need to. I would bring Clay back only if I can get Clay to sign for 20. If he'll sign for anything under 25, I'll bring him back. Because it could be a six man. That's good. That's not a bad salary in today's NBA when people are getting paid
Yeah,
55, 60 million.
yeah,
I would probably move on from Wiggins. I don't know what he's got going on in his personal life, but we can't win a chip if that nigga's not showing up to play and then he's not there when he's playing and all that other shit. So I would move on from Wiggins. I would figure out how I could get Kuminga in the starting lineup. Um, you know what I'm saying? I think Chris Paul is gone anyway, isn't he?
yeah, yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that at all. That was weird.
I thought that that could have worked if they would have started Chris Paul. I didn't think it was going to work. As soon as they said Chris Paul was coming off the bench, this shit ain't going to
Yeah,
work. Like Chris
no.
Paul, why would you like? Oh, you got Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and then you've got one of the greatest, you know what I'm saying, passers in NBA history. But you want to play this passer when the fucking shooters are off the floor. Like, yo, like
It's because of
I know,
how they run offense.
I know, but
It's
they look good
the
when they
way Chris Paul runs offense is not conducive to Clay. And I mean, Clay could, but like the way that it
I,
it was just such a weird matchup. It wasn't going to work with them all on the floor at the same time, to start.
but when you remember when they started the season off, Draymond was out.
Yeah.
And they looked good as fuck when Chris Paul was starting. And
Yeah.
so, but they never went back to that lineup. They never even tried
And
it.
that's the other thing too, is they run that offense though with Draymond out of the high post.
Well, shit.
So to have two point guards, because he's playing point forward out of that high post there in the top of the
We're gonna
key.
have to figure out something else for Draymond to do because you're not gonna tell me that Draymond's a better distributor than Chris Paul on any day of the week.
You're right.
I don't give a fuck how long he was in that system. Like I'm
You're
one of those
right.
people who you're not. It's the point guard for me. So you know how I feel about Chris Paul. So I just don't
Yeah,
feel.
it's a title team though, like, and they've been doing that thing for too long.
Then don't pick up Chris Paul's $40 million contract and fucking
Don't do
bring him to the
that.
team. That's you guys'
That's it
fault.
right there. Don't
Don't
do
pick up
that.
his contract and bring him to the team. If you're gonna pick up
Yeah.
his contract and bring him to the team, let this nigga do what the fuck he do. He get paid more than Draymond. I know Draymond got more rings than him, but if we're gonna talk about the echelon of NBA players all time, Chris Paul in the top 75. Draymond Green ain't even close. It's not even close. I don't know not one person who's gonna vote Draymond into a top 75 list. So I don't feel as if I feel like Steve Kerr has issues coaching. He has his strengths and he's really good at drawing up plays, you know what I'm saying? And like that shit. He ain't good at developing players. That nigga ain't gonna develop nobody. You know what I'm saying?
No.
And he's not good at like conflict
He was a
resolution.
general manager.
What's that?
He was a general
Right,
manager,
right, right.
and man, I'll say this. I don't want to hold him accountable for the conflict because Draymond Green is such a dynamic personality. It just got out of control, you know?
There's no way that Kevin Durant would have left my team and fucking Draymond Green would have still been there. I know that's not all on Steve Kerr, but you're the coach. You got to mend that and fix that. And then go to the GM and be like, look, I know Draymond been here, but that's Kevin Durant. He's a top 15 player of all time. But he got two finals MVPs. Y'all got to do something about Draymond. Y'all got to do something. I mean, you're the coach. You have to do something. You have
Yeah.
Kevin, and that's what I mean by Steve Kerr has issues. I just don't see how, Durant didn't want to leave, but you got Draymond calling him a bitch and all this shit on national television. You know what I'm saying? That's rough,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure, they say these athletes, they be fighting and stuff like that. So that probably, why Draymond, which what nobody talks about, is what Draymond probably has punched niggas in practice before because
Oh yeah.
it looked so comfortable. It looked like nobody reacted. It looked like some shit that had gone on before in practice. So if you're Kevin Durant, you've probably seen Draymond punch a nigga or sleep a nigga or do some shit in practice, and you're like, this nigga, I don't want this nigga to fold me on national television and shit. And I got
Yeah,
to fight with this nigga. It's like, I don't know, man. I
that's
feel
a
like
great point.
I
That's a
just,
great point.
nobody talks about that stuff. Look at the body language from the whole roster on Golden State. They were probably like, it's time for Jordan Poole to get punched in the face. And
Yeah,
they were
yeah,
like,
that
it's
was
probably,
definitely funny.
and Draymond do it. They probably called the hit out. They probably called the hit out before
Yeah.
practice.
Like, you want to,
Yo,
Draymond. Why you? He's like, man, I'm not gonna. Come on, bruh. You
yo,
wanna.
we've played a lot of basketball together, right? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? In our life,
Yeah.
maybe not in our older age, but like when we were teenagers, we played a lot of basketball together, right? So we used to go to the gym all the time. Anytime anything would get heated, except for, when I had to put pause on one person at the gym. We ain't gonna talk about that shit though. Not you,
I knew you were gonna go there.
not
Of
you.
course, it wasn't me. You ain't never
But
put your hand on me a day of your life. You wouldn't have that hand anymore. It'd be mine.
uh, but other
I
than that
know
incident,
exactly. As soon as you said
I
basketball at the gym, I knew exactly
that's
where you
not where
were
I was. That's
going.
not where I was trying. I didn't even think about it until I started getting into flowing a little more.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is fights were always broke up, whether it was between us or strangers or whoever it was, because we used to talk our shit. Alden and them, John used to talk their smack, so we were always having to fucking go at it with these adults. Um, Players always come in and they break up the melee. Not one person stepped into that Draymond and them shit until Jordan Poole was already asleep.
I'll say, yeah, it's partly though. It's one thing you're playing, rec basketball. When you have those beefs on a team. I remember when I was in high school, there were two dudes beefing in practice, man. They were just going at it in practice. And we knew when we got up to that locker room, it was going to be some words. At the very least, it's going to be some words. So we get up to the locker room after practice, and there's words, and then somebody spit on somebody, and
Oh,
then it was on, and then it was on, right?
oh.
But we knew what was going to happen. We all watched it and waited for it to happen. And then we separated after, I mean, you spit on a motherfucker, that dude, he gets his retaliation. Now, whether or not he wins that fight, that's up to him. But he gets to try. You
Right,
spit in his face, he gets to try. At
right,
least
right.
I'm gonna let him, right? And so I think it was a little to the second point that you had made. Like, I think the team knew because I've read the articles, I've heard some stories, I've seen some podcasts, people telling stories about it. Yeah, at the time before the assault, um, Draymond's contract, I think he was up for a contract, is what they were saying, right? And the team wasn't wanting to give him the money or whatever, so like a whole thing. And for 2 days during camp, Jordan Poole's giving it to this dude, just giving it to him about his contract. Every time he fucking, Draymond turns it over, he's in his fucking ear about his money and shit, saying some real wild ass shit, right? And so the team basically was like, it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of time. And of course, he's going in on everybody else and shit too, and they're all irritated with him. So when it happened, they just didn't give a fuck. Is the stories that I've heard, is that they just didn't care. They wanted him out of there anyway, and they just let Draymond do his thing.
But you see,
That
but
shit's scary, dog. They put the green light on that dude.
they put the green light on and then they released the footage to TMZ because you know that had to
Man,
be an inside job because that's not the
had to
first time.
be. Who gets your hands on that?
What's that? Right, right, right. Who is recording this, waiting for this moment to happen? You know what I'm saying? Because
Oh, I
like,
mean, they're recording practices.
yeah,
That's just
I guess you're right. I guess you're
that's
right.
the overhead practice
You're right.
feed,
You're
but
right. You're right. But who leaks it?
they did.
Right, right, right,
Fucking
right,
they, they was up in the copy and edit room, up in there editing the footage and shit.
right, right.
Draymond's standing over Steve Kerr's shoulder. No, 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 no. Zoom in just a little bit
He
more. I
said,
want to see his teeth.
he said,
I want to
zoom
see his
in,
teeth.
zoom in, zoom too far. Back
Yep.
it up. Back it
I
up.
want to see the
That's
blood.
perfect. Right, 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 right.
Dog, that shit was one of the most violent punches that I've ever seen.
And then Jordan
That shit was
Poole,
violent.
and then Jordan Poole, I've seen you punch some linebackers that played for college football teams harder, but that's a story for another day. That dude Jordan Poole doesn't make it any easier because he goes to Washington and he just shits the bed. Like you have the opportunity. Yeah, we don't expect much from Washington. So we don't expect
Right.
for you to take him to the playoffs. We don't expect for y'all to win but 20 games at the most. You know what I'm saying? We don't expect a whole lot from you. Bro, you go there and average 16 points on like 38% shooting from the field, which that could be an off number. I could be off on his shooting percentage. It was that bad at one point during the season, though. And then
Let's see.
you did you see the one clip when the coach was trying to draw up the play and this nigga's on the sideline and he's like, "Oh, this is my team. I don't got to worry about that shit." And that's why you got benched. It's Kyle Kuzma's team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you are the second best. You are a player. I don't even know if you're the second best player on the team. You just take a lot of shots. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I don't know how good you really
No,
are.
shot, 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 shot,
Right,
shot,
right,
shot,
right.
shot.
But somebody got to take the shots. So if they gave those shots to somebody else might be more efficient than you. But you had the opportunity, and it's like the arrogantness. I like my players to be a little cocky. I like my guys to talk some smack.
Yeah.
You look like you got the number and you're ready to laugh loud. What's the number?
What did you say the numbers were again?
Like at one point he was averaging like 16 or 17 points and 16 and a half points and 38% from the field.
So he wrapped up 41 from the field, 32 from three at 17 a clip.
That's
So
still not
17
good.
again.
That's
No,
still
he had a shit season, dog. Because when I
yeah.
saw it, I just laughed. I'm like, oh, he's dead on.
Yeah.
Like nailed it on that fucking head. That
Yeah.
motherfucker ran his mouth a lot, got paid a lot, did a little.
Right. Didn't do anything. And so
And didn't have to defend on a team that played no defense all year long. All you had to do was score, and you were about as inefficient a
right.
scorer as you could have been.
Right. So I mean, I don't want to advocate for people getting beat up at work. I'm not here for that. I am here
That's
for
what
a motherfucker.
happened.
What's that?
So
Yeah, that's
that's
what
what
happened.
happened.
And I was a GM forever, so it was my job to make sure niggas didn't get beat up at work. So I can't be here promoting motherfuckers getting beat up at work when I wasn't about
Yeah,
that life my whole life. I had a,
right.
conflict, resolution. But what I will say is if you run your mouth, you do deserve to get punched in your mouth. You know what I'm saying? So like, have I ever been punched in my mouth? Yeah. Did I deserve it? Probably. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't feel like I'm not one of those people that feels like freedom of speech allows you to say whatever you want with no consequence.
Right.
Um, so
Me
whatever.
too. Open your mouth and you might get a foot in it. And
Right,
it might
right.
not be yours. It might not be yours. Yeah, no, I think there are some industries where you're gonna fight, right? As far as workplace assaults
Right.
are concerned. Um,
Sports are probably
Not
one.
sure a basketball team is that though. A hockey team for sure, football
No, I
team for
would I
sure.
would I
Even
would
a
think
baseball team, y'all go scrap.
I would think a basketball team would scrap for the simple fact that nigga, you gotta
Basketball players push each other a lot.
yeah, but every day, like, you do hear stories about niggas banging all the time. Like if you go through and you look through some of those like
There
podcasts,
are guys,
right?
yeah,
And
there are
what's
guys.
dope,
Michael Beasley,
what's dope is too is like I don't, but I do appreciate all these athletes getting into the podcast space and stuff like that. What I think is fucked up about it is like, y'all don't need the money. Y'all don't need to be in this space. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all niggas making $60 million a year. Can we like be the ones commentating on this shit so we can get some bread too? But
right?
but what I really do appreciate about them in the space is that you get real life experiences. So they tell
Mhm.
you about, oh, I remember when this dude fought this dude in the locker room, or when fucking this dude snuck this dude and sucker punched him and knocked him the fuck out, and that's why he was really injured for 3 weeks. And you just get the behind the scenes stories of all these fights and brawls that really do happen that we don't know about. And so
Yeah,
I do like that from the podcast. And I know they fight. Yo,
yeah.
I I,
I
I
mean, I just don't think. I don't know. Basketball just doesn't seem as prevalent. There are fights, yeah, there are fights, but I think, yeah, you're right. I mean, basketball, they're gonna fight each other. It's a high testosterone, um, high energy, high anxiety kind of environment, and it's just gonna happen.
I
Like it's just
tried
gonna happen.
I tried to fight Mahoney at work one time at Paysetter because this dude flicked a penny at me across the room and I was hungover. So I got up and I fucking chucked my phone and then I chucked my whole receiver. Remember Paysetter, those heavy blocks? Then I
Yep,
chucked and I was in Denver. So I was in Denver and he was in
I
Omaha. So
remember.
imagine me chucking this shit all the way across the fucking building. And then it wasn't even him, it was Farkas. So I ended up
Yeah.
fucking up Farkas later on. But
So for those of y'all who don't know what he's talking about, he wasn't physically in Denver, Colorado. We were in an
uh
office building in
yeah, yeah,
Omaha.
yeah. Yeah.
and we would make outgoing calls to different parts of the region, right? So he worked in the part where they were calling the Denver area. This other guy that he tried to assault uh, was working in the Omaha call portion, right? So yeah, he wasn't throwing a fucking phone receiver from Denver, Colorado to Omaha, Nebraska. That
But I
shit
got
would
range
be
though. But I got range.
shit. Right? That's that Michael Vick commercial. You remember that joint?
Yeah, yeah.
Where he
We
was
threw it
throwing
out of the
that ball out of
stadium.
the stadium?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
yeah, yeah,
wild.
yeah. Well,
But yeah, it is what it is. I think we've spoke enough on Draymond. I don't really have much else to say. We kind of talked about him the last time too. How did
yeah.
Draymond creep into both of these?
Well, because we
And,
were we
oh,
were
because you were
talking.
talking about Rudy G.
Yeah, yeah. No, last time, but this time we were talking about the new
Yeah,
generation taking over. So I want to touch one thing
yeah,
real
let's
quick.
do that.
I
Let's
want
get
to
on. I
touch.
don't think we
I,
really
I,
did talk about the new
well,
generation at all yet.
let me touch on one thing before we get on to
Yeah.
what we're going to get to connect because it's all going to connect together. So I will say I would consider Jokic part of this new generation simply for the fact that he's 28. So yeah,
I was thinking that too.
he's played 9 seasons, but he's 28. So I just wanted to touch to that. And I still feel that even if the Denver Nuggets win the championship, and it's like Boston in the finals, and then it's like Minnesota in the conference finals, and then Indianapolis or Philly or whoever else in the conference finals. I still feel like that's a changing of a guard, and that's the next generation taking over because none of those people have been to the finals except for Denver. And if Denver does go on like some kind of crazy run, like the Bulls went on, or like the Lakers went on, I still feel like this could be the changing of the guard moment. Yeah, the last year winning a championship was what kind of elevated them into this run if they go on the run. But I still feel like this is the stamp on LeBron. You're done. You know, you beat LeBron in the playoffs twice. You stamped him
Do you
out.
think? Do you think there's two tiers of new guard or new fresh
No,
blood?
I feel
You
like
would think
there's
that Anthony Edwards and Jokic kind of you can describe them as being at the same places in their careers.
I would say that next year, I would say that Jokic is in his prime, and I would say next year Anthony Edwards enters his prime. So no different than when LeBron and KD, they share the same generation, but they're like 4 or 5 years off and being drafted. But they're
Okay.
still part of the same. The same with Steph and LeBron. I know LeBron's like the exception to the rule, so normally I won't argue the exception to the rule with somebody being a prime player for 20 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But what I'm getting at is I don't
I
think
mean,
that just because
KD
let me
and
I
Steph
don't think
came close enough to where I don't think that you're stretching it with that. I think that's a good analogy.
yeah, so I think that a generation or the current the younger generation taking over, I don't think it has to be depicted on somebody being 29 versus 24 or being in year 9 versus
I
year
just look at
5.
10 years in the league is tough to say that you're the new guard. But I guess if you're comparing it to a dude that's in year 20,
Right.
right?
Another year who's in another dude
Yeah.
who's in year like 17, somebody else who's in like year like 16 or 18 or something like,
Yeah.
comparing it to the dudes who have been running this league for our whole
I
entire
think
adult life.
the way we look at the career timeline has to change now, right? Because we are seeing our stars get to 16, 17, 18 years where we didn't see that before. And so when
Bro,
we think of 9 years, we're thinking, damn, you're old. But that's just because I'm old. And I
LeBron
remember when 9 years was a death sentence for your ass. Like
LeBron came out LeBron came out when I was 22. I am 43 years old, bro.
I
So
remember, dude.
LeBron has been playing basketball my whole entire adult life.
Yeah.
There was only 1 year in my life I couldn't drink alcohol and LeBron didn't play basketball.
I remember, man, that shit was that was damn so old. Yeah, it was watching LeBron come in, man. And that's why the whole the LeBron stand thing just really I don't want to say it irritates me. I just don't have any patience for it because we're the LeBron stands.
Right.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
were
Like
ready for LeBron. We were ready for
we were
LeBron.
amped, dude, and we were all on board with LeBron. It didn't matter what team, like I don't want to say it didn't matter what team you rooted for, because for at the very beginning it didn't. I think lots of people were just on board, and then the jump to Miami happened, and then
That's yeah.
was like, hold up, no, 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 no,
And
hold
I think
up.
that and but that's not fair to LeBron either, which we don't something that we don't talk about enough is that it's just not fair. LeBron had to leave Miami. because Delonte West was having sexual relations with his mama and everybody knew.
Oh,
You
I
know
had
what
to
I'm
leave
saying?
Cleveland. Yeah.
Yeah. So he
No,
had to leave Cleveland. He had
it
there
was
was
just
no
how it was done for
okay,
me.
I
I
get
didn't
that.
care what he did.
But I
I
think
wanted
that
him to go to Chicago. I
but
wanted him to
that's what I was
honestly.
gonna say. That's what I was gonna say next. Is I was gonna say that most people were mad at LeBron because of how he did the announcement because he entertained so many teams. So he burned so many fucking people because at that time he should have come to Chicago. Dwayne Wade and LeBron James should have come to Chicago. They probably win 6 championships. Derrick Rose probably never gets that injury because they're blowing out whatever team they're playing in the first round or Indiana in the first round of that series. You know what I'm saying? Like he never has to come back in with 4 minutes left. And like we
Yeah.
get LeBron, Dwayne Wade, freaking D Rose, Carlos Boozer, Luol Deng. You know, like we have this squad that is just the best. I mean, that would have been an all-time team. All-time team.
Yeah. It would have
That
been a lot
team,
of fun to watch. As it was, Miami was a lot of fun to watch,
yeah, I know.
But
I
you're
know
right.
that.
But it was like, for me, I enjoyed it because as a Bulls fan, we were still a really good basketball team. And
Yeah.
so you
We made
now
him
had
cry.
this villain.
And
You
we
had
made
this,
him cry. And
yeah,
we made him cry.
yeah. But you had this villain, and I'd never, as a Bulls fan, we were the villains,
Yeah, the
right? And
Pistons were the
so
villains. The Pistons were the villains.
at the beginning, but once Jordan started winning titles, the rest of the league was like, we got to get the Bulls, right? And
Well,
so
but that's
it
it's a
was
weird.
nice to have somebody that was like the main villain that we could root against. Like we want to beat that motherfucker because I had been on the team that
Nah,
everybody was trying to beat.
I
Or
don't
not been
think that
on, but like rooted for.
I don't think that Jordan was a villain like that. I think that obviously they were winning and people probably at the last year or so they got sick of it. But most people still enjoyed watching Jordan. It's like Steph
Yeah.
Curry. It's like Steph Curry. People don't really root. He's not a villain. I ain't never heard nobody call Steph Curry a villain.
I guess when I'm saying it just gave me something to root against. So LeBron was a villain, and I'd never had a team that I'm looking at all year long, like in basketball, as growing up, where I'm like, we got to get those motherfuckers. Those are the motherfuckers we got to get. And that's what happened with him going. Because like when you were a Bulls fan, it's like, all right, we're just kind of taking them all. Like when I was a kid, yeah, you want to get to the Pistons, right? But I was a little kid. I didn't really understand that dynamic. So as I got older and the Bulls were winning championships, it was just like, okay, the Knicks are coming. We'll beat them niggas. And who else? We got the Suns in the finals. Beat them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't shit. I wasn't worried about any of those series. So I enjoyed that part of LeBron going. But no, I
Yo,
think to your point about Jokic, and I think that's a really good point. And if that's the point, then I would say it's already happened. It been happened. That should happen 2 years ago. The changing of the guard.
yeah, I guess well, last year, 2 years ago, who won 2 years ago? 2 years ago, wasn't it? Yeah, I guess if you kind of think about it, because who's been winning lately? Why is my brain broken?
Yeah.
Because when did the Warriors win it? In 2021?
That might have been uh,
Milwaukee?
yeah. Yep. Giannis. Also new guard.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Has to be, right?
But they were playing Phoenix. But I mean, that's new. That would be kind of new guard too. I know they had Chris Paul. Yeah, Chris Paul. Chris Paul got straight robbed of that MVP. That's something that we need to have a conversation about. We ain't doing that today, but we're gonna have that on a podcast because
Wow.
Chris Paul got robbed of an MVP.
Yeah,
Robbed,
we'll have to.
robbed.
Yeah, so it was Golden State in 22, Phoenix in 21. Or no, not Phoenix, Milwaukee beat Phoenix in 21. So yeah, I would say that I don't know, Old Guard won last year or the year before. So maybe it just happened last year with Jokic.
Well, so since we're moving on to talking about the new guard, I mean, what are your thoughts of Ant just annihilating freaking KD in that series, just going for his heart?
It was it was so good to see. It was so good to see. Um
Do you hate Kevin
I'm
Durant?
I don't hate Kevin Durant.
Oh, you
I
can't because
I
you're a
hate
Texas fan. That's right.
I hate the friendship basketball that developed over the last 20 years. I hate it. I want Mamba mentality. I want to see dudes going after each other, like for real. And what happened? Like because LeBron tricked everybody into being friends, right? You saw what happened when a dog showed up. When a dog showed up, what did KD do? I mean, he had a good game, but he let him bark in his face. KD's not letting nobody else bark in his face like that. I don't give a fuck, dude. KD's not letting people bark in his face. But a big dog, when the big dog walk in the yard, he start barking in your face, you don't want to get bit. So
Yo,
you
and
shut the
then
fuck up.
did you see
And so
the
that's what KD did. He shut the fuck up.
did you see the short that ESPN put out when they had Ant mic'd up and
No.
he was talking trash, you know what I'm saying? Like they got him mic'd up guarding KD and
Yeah.
he's talking trash. And then there's a point where he's like talking to Carl and Rudy. He's like, "Yo, get over here. Get over here." And like they come over there and he's like, "Y'all need to stop fouling. The only way they're gonna score on us is if y'all keep fouling them." But you can hear the fire in his voice. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like he's like, "I'm gonna
Yeah.
play defense. I ain't gonna foul these dudes. I'm gonna play defense. I'm gonna lock KD up. Don't foul them when they get to the damn rim." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
change the shot. And so, but like, that's what you need to hear. You need to hear, I don't care. I've been following Ant since Ant was like 16, 15. I live in Atlanta. That's where he's from. So to watch his progression to where he's at now, you always knew he was going to be this player. You may not have known he was going to be so vocal, but you knew he was going to be this player because he's how he's been acting since he was in Georgia, at college and high school.
Well,
And
when he
it's
came into the league, he told Ant, he was, or not Ant, he told Cat, he was like, "I'm gonna make you great, bro."
right,
He told that motherfucker, like his rookie year, "I'm gonna make you great." Wow. The
right.
thing that no one has been able to do is make Cat great. And I don't know that he has made him great, but he has made that team great.
Yeah,
Um,
he's a problem.
he's made that team great. He's galvanized that team. That team believes in him, and they will follow him off a fucking cliff.
I
You know,
feel
they don't.
like I feel like with him too, what's because it's hard to rank these players because the players are so
It's so
different and
hard.
they're so different in contrast. And so like there's a popular opinion of what the top five is, but then there's a top five in a place where people look at more than just numbers. So like I remember there was a time in my life where Jason Kidd was probably the greatest basketball player on the planet. And you look at his fucking stat line and it would be 11 points, 9 assists, and fucking 7 rebounds. But if you watch the game, you would have swore to God that nigga scored 35 points, had 17 blocks. Like I'm from a world where I see players doing more than the stats indicate. Like your casual fan will just look at the stat line and be like, "Oh, this nigga's this." So like with Ant, where I don't see where it's the fair. I feel like Ant's a top five player. I'm not just saying that shit. I really do feel like he's a top five
You,
player because I value defense. So I value
yeah.
that he's gonna get down the other end of the floor and play defense. Where when you're looking at the other players that they consider top five players, only two of those other players play defense. Giannis and Embiid are the only other two players that play defense. Where Jokic don't really play defense, Doncic don't really play defense, and then
Come on in. Sorry, my maintenance guys repairing a hole. Let me
no,
get
it's
them.
all good.
Come on in. Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. So you're basically just saying that like fuck the stats. Stats aren't making or breaking your top five, and you think Ant should be in there, regardless of what the quote unquote statistics tell you.
Well, the statistics do have a part. So like, I am like a stat baby too. So like you already know, like I remember stats and I mean numbers. I feel like they matter, but it's more than just stats. Like watching the actual games and the eyeball test matters because again, not everything comes up on a stat book. Like if I'm guarding
Right.
Kevin Durant and Kevin Durant gets 25 points, but it's on 35% shooting, I fucking killed it today. You know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
I changed, I've added so many possessions to us. So I probably added 4 or 5 more possessions to us with his missed shots. If I cause a couple extra turnovers on him, like those are the things that aren't necessarily showing up that your average person is going to look at. But when you're watching a game of basketball, if this nigga's defecting everything on offense and the other team can't do what they want to do offensively because of him, that's not going to show up in the stat book. So just me comparing all these players' numbers doesn't tell the whole story because defense is half the game. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And, to that point, it's one of the things that the younger generation, when they're talking about GOATs and stuff like that, that they don't take into consideration is the stuff that you don't measure, right? With
Right.
all of the different statistics and measurables. So yeah, LeBron James does everything on the court, right? Fills up the fucking stat sheet. But then there are things to greatness. The reason that you're putting Cat in your top 5 is those intangibles, right? That leadership quality. For me, it's not even always about the numbers so much as when a number happens,
Not
right?
Cat in my
So
top
like,
five. Hold up. Not Cat in
I
my
say
top
Cat,
five.
I meant
Ant.
Ant,
Yeah.
Ant,
Yeah.
Ant.
I just want to clear that up. I got to make sure I get that shit right. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, you
I
ain't
am
gonna
gonna let you
misquote me.
slide on Jason Kidd is the greatest player at some point in the whole world.
You
I'm
said
gonna let you
what?
slide on that one, but
At some point, he was like when Jason Kidd was killing it, like for the
I'm gonna
Nets,
let you slide on it. I don't even want to get into it. I'm gonna let
arguably,
you slide on it.
arguably,
Arguably.
because
I
Shaq
don't
was
you're the
probably
only person I've ever heard say that.
Shaq was
So
probably the greatest player in the world, but Jason Kidd was up there.
Jason Kidd's great. He's
he was
great.
top he was a
HOA.
top 2 or 3 player in the league at that time.
Slept on. Like he doesn't get enough conversations in that point guard. He don't get enough love in that point guard combo.
You take Kenyon Martin and fucking Kenyon Martin and Richard Jefferson, rookie Richard Jefferson, and what's my guard's name? He got drafted by
Harry
Charlotte.
Kittles.
Yeah, Kittles. You take that squad to the finals,
Yeah.
you get your props. You get your props from me.
Yeah.
2 years in a
Yeah.
row, and you go to
Yeah.
6.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Jason Kidd. One of my favorite pictures of myself as a kid at a fucking barbecue. Jason Kidd Mavericks jersey on. Love that dude. He was a baller, man. But yeah, no, I think that there's just intangibles. Like it's about when things happen, right? Winning basketball in the winning time, right? Because like we used to talk about Romo, all interceptions aren't made the same, right? Like you can give me 3 interceptions in the first half, like Brett Favre, and then throw me a couple touchdown passes and win the game. I'm gonna forgive those 3. But you throw me a couple touchdown passes in the first half, and then you throw me 3 picks in the second half, and we lose that game. During winning time, you're not doing the things that are making you and your team great. And I think
Romo
that's what Ant
didn't
does.
have. See, I don't even know why you brought this. You knew this. You knew
I
what
knew
you
it.
was doing.
I knew
You
it.
knew what you was doing.
I knew what I
You
was doing.
fucking knew what you were
I
doing.
knew it. I
Romo
knew
doesn't
it.
have as many bad interceptions as people try to make seem. Romo got the
Yeah,
highest
this dude
fourth
acts like
quarter.
nobody
Romo
watches
has
the
the
game but him.
highest fourth quarter passer rating in
Mm-hmm.
NFL history. When he
Yep.
was in the league, he had the most fourth quarter comebacks and the most game-winning drives in the league when he played.
You know
So
why? Because in the third quarter, he's throwing fucking pick sixes and we're down 20.
he didn't have that
Act like
many
that shit didn't
interceptions.
happen a lot.
Sometimes I'm not gonna hold
Fumbles,
you, but
just bad decision making.
but
Like
we had we
we didn't
had
run the football
we
because he's
had
checking
we
out of
had
runs.
an awful line for a while
We did.
because we had an
We,
awful line a lot of Romo's time because a lot of
yeah.
Romo's highlight
He was getting
plays
killed a lot.
is the ball getting thrown over this nigga's head, this nigga picking it up, running like a fucking chicken with his head cut off, and then
Hey,
throwing a 30-yard dime, a
I just
40-yard
want to
dime
tell
down the
all of
field.
you, I did this on purpose. I
I know
knew
he
he was
did.
going to do this.
I know he did. And I tried to resist. I tried. I
All you got to
tried.
understand in this world is people's motivations. And this dude's motivation that will never go away is his unbridled defense of Tony Romo. He loves him. He loves
I don't
him.
know why
That's
either. That's my
that's a
dude.
bromance for the ages, my man.
Yo, I think if me
And
and
I
Rob,
just hit the button, boop, and I just sat back. Go.
I think if, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, Tony Romo in here catching strays and shit for no reason.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
Tony. I do love Tony Romo as a Cowboys quarterback, man. I just had to. I couldn't resist. But you know what I mean, though. Like in winning time, those are the plays that Ant makes. He makes those winning time plays. And you watched how he just like machismoed the fucking court
Right.
and made everybody else. It didn't matter that Devin Booker was getting buckets. It didn't matter that fucking KD was getting buckets. They took a back seat to him because his energy took over the game. And it's good to see that back in the game of basketball. I'm so looking forward to this fucking Nuggets Timberwolves fucking series, dude, because they're already talking shit. And Jokic is a silent assassin. That dude's not going to talk a lot on the court. He's not going to be all braggadocious, but he's going to light you up.
That's a
I
tough
can't
matchup.
wait.
That's a tough matchup.
Is.
That's a tough
It is.
matchup.
But that's why I don't understand for the life of me
On
why
both teams.
LA got rid of their bigs. why you let fucking JaVale McGee go, why you let Dwight Howard go,
Right,
because those are your fucking Jokic stoppers. You needed
right,
them.
right. You have to
You
have
needed
them.
them.
Right. You have
Yeah,
to
I
have
don't. I
them.
don't get it.
And then like with Jokic, you know, because it's always I like Jokic. I like Jokic's game.
So
I
good,
yeah, I think he's solid. But I
solid.
hate
He's great.
yeah, he's great. He's great. Not a great defender. Not a great
No,
defender, but he's great.
he's okay.
And that's like what's crazy too is like when I think about did we talk about the comparison between Embiid and Jokic last stream or last podcast?
A little bit. A little bit.
We'll save that for another day. So,
Yeah.
um, and then on to the next series. So, before we go on to the next series, what do you think the Suns should do? Do you think that the Suns are done, or do you? I mean, already, or do you feel like, no, fuck that. I'm going into this one first. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this one because I lived in Phoenix when all this stuff was going down with Phoenix making trades and all this stuff. I lived there. You know, so I feel like Phoenix should have never traded Chris Paul for Bradley Beal. I'll stand on that hill. I'll never fall off that hill because do I think that Bradley Beal's a better player than Chris Paul? Yes. But Bradley Beal's been injured and he doesn't fit the system better. Because who's going to distribute the ball evenly between Devin Booker and fucking Kevin Durant? It ain't gonna be Bill. So now you got Devin Booker, who's a scorer, trying to distribute the ball to Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, and that's not gonna work. And then you have this super soft ass fucking center. So you've got Nurkic, who's not going to play no kind of defense. You know what I'm saying? He ain't guard nobody. You know what I'm saying? He
No.
might get a
No.
rebound. You know, like you're not playing Bobo. You know what I'm saying? You got Bobo who could probably play point forward. So if you're in a situation where you need somebody to play point guard, have you even considered running Bobo at point forward? Because he doesn't have to score. You know what I'm saying? Run the plays. I
Right.
mean, there's so many options that Phoenix could do that they didn't do. So I talked to one of my buddies does YouTube and he's like music producer and all that stuff and he's like
Mhm.
just does all this stuff and he's a huge Phoenix fan, goes to all the games, all this stuff, and he complains about Vogel all the time. And I'm like, I don't know if I would
Yeah.
blame Vogel, like I don't know if I would blame Vogel.
Well, you did just list a bunch of things that would be the coach's responsibility that he's not doing that
But
they should have done.
after the season, it's come out that Vogel requested to get a point guard. It's came out that the management didn't want some of the lineups that he wanted to run to switch it up to get other people to run point.
That's fair.
So,
That happens.
right, right. So, and those are kind of some of the things that I was saying to him was like, I think it's more of a fault of the organization didn't give them a point guard. I can't, Cam,
Who's gonna is it the front office though that's gonna get axed, or is it gonna be Frank Vogel? You know?
they should have kept Cam Payton. Isn't that the nigga's last name? Isn't it Payton? The dude
Um
who was their backup
I know what you're
point guard,
talking about.
but it would
Yeah.
start and stuff. I
Yep.
know it's but they should have kept him and gave him an opportunity at least because I think they could have signed him for like 7 million or something, or they traded him. So it's like I just don't understand. I think that Phoenix had a great team. I think that Phoenix could have done what they needed to do, but they were just one piece away. I honestly think they should have kept Chris Paul. I think the new owner thinks that this shit is fucking NBA 2K and that you can just hop in and like buy this, buy that, see what you can do in fucking general manager mode. Try to
Mhm.
build a team and see if you can. It's not as easy as fucking 2K, dog. It's
You're
fucking
right, because what happens is you get stuck,
right,
right? All it takes is for like you can have a grand plan, but like one of those deals not to go through. And now you have an incomplete roster, right? And unfortunately, when you trade for supermax players like that, you're gonna have an incomplete roster. You just are. And there was a thing that everybody talked about leading up to it was what's Phoenix depth gonna look like?
right,
And you know, I think that we have the answer to that. So what's the solution, I guess? What do you do? Like you really can't do a lot. You're hamstrung by contracts. And so I would say, what are your options? You move on from KD? You move on from
right.
KD?
I mean, see, that's where it's jacked up is because is Bill going to be the same player that he once was? And
You
that's
got to
that's
move on from Bill probably too.
yeah, I'm about to say that's the decision you have to make first. The first decision you have to make, even though it's only been a year and a half with KD, but a year with Bill, you have to decide whether you're going to keep Bill or not. Because if you're going to keep Bill, then you probably need to move KD, and then you need to find a point guard and a big that's going to play defense. You know what I'm saying? Like
I
those
think
are
at some point you got to start worrying about your assets, right? There's going to come a point where Kevin Durant's not going to be an asset anymore, and you're going to get stuck holding the bag, right? You've already seen that this can't work the way that you tried to make it work. If I'm them, you have a young star in Devin Booker. Let's go ahead and get some new pieces around him. Let's make this his team. Let's build this team to where that Devin Booker is the face of it, and we're everything that we do is trying to make his job as a son easier. That's me.
see,
But
I don't I still don't know if I think I mean that's a hard one too. I may be a
it's
little
tough.
biased because I liked Phoenix's team before they traded for Kevin Durant. I'm one of those people who like Kevin Durant though. I'm not
I
like a
do.
I'm not a Kevin Durant hater. I'm not like
He's
somebody.
not winning you games though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He needs help. He needs somebody.
He's not going to win you games.
he needs your help.
He's going to contribute to you winning.
He can be your focal piece as long as you have the right pieces around him though, I still feel. So I feel like if you have like
I just haven't seen it. When have we seen it?
he was the focal piece in the fourth quarters with fucking Golden State, won 2 Finals MVPs. I know they had Steph. I know that's not fair either
Yeah.
because Steph's probably a top 10 player all time. Steph's
I
in
mean,
my
the team
top
had already
10.
won 2 titles already. Like,
Just one.
oh,
But the
one title. What? They had already won a title. They should have won the year before, but they had
Draymond
some
felt like playing
injuries. Draymond
Draymond
want to
felt like
play.
playing touch the tip and shit with LeBron in the finals and shit.
Yeah.
Nigga
I mean,
handing
but
out
they were a
hand
ready
jobs in the
made. They were a
finals and
ready made
shit.
team. There are a lot of players you could have put on that team that probably would have still won a title that year. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot. They were a championship caliber basketball team.
Probably
So
wouldn't
I
have
don't
won,
count that at all. I don't
but
count
he
that at all.
but he
That
won
team
the
already,
nah. You got to
that
give
team
him
was already
you
winning.
got to give him props for winning the conference or for the finals
Not for
MVP.
being a guy that's leading them. No, I don't. He didn't lead that team. He was just the best player on it. He did not lead that
Okay,
team.
okay, okay,
That team was already
okay.
led. They
Oh,
were
well,
already
oh, well,
there.
I'm cool with that statement. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with.
That nigga pulled up on them. Say, hey, y'all drinking water
But
here?
you know what's fucked
I can
up.
make it. I can make it even easier.
I don't think he was the best player on the team. I still think Steph was the best player on the team. As I'm saying
Hey,
all
that's
this shit,
fair.
I still think Steph was
That's
the best player
yeah,
on the
that's
team.
fair. You know how I feel about Steph Curry. I think motherfuckers hate. I think the way this game is played now, defense is great if you do it, but if you don't, if you're getting buckets the way that Steph is, I don't give a shit, dog. You keep getting them buckets, guy. Sure, it bit him in the ass because he couldn't cover Kyrie, right? But who the fuck can cover Kyrie? Like, we're asking him to do a thing nobody's doing, and then we're holding it against him. That's not fair.
All right, guys. So it's looking like Pittsburgh is looking to make a shocking move and put Justin Fields as a kickoff returner. Maybe shocking to some, maybe not be shocking to many. As many of us know, they used to have a man named Slash who played there, who also played for the Bears. Just a side note. What do you think about Justin Fields maybe returning some kicks?
So when you first told me this, you said punt returner, which I think is absurd. They should definitely not make him a punt returner. That's crazy as fuck. And so this whole time I've been thinking punt returner, but if he's going to be a kick returner, which I didn't for some reason make that connection, as if those two guys typically aren't run by the same dude, right? The new kickoff rules, man.
Right.
Whew, that shit kind of makes sense.
Because they can't move till he touches the ball.
Right. Yeah, man.
So you
And
think
he's a
Justin,
real problem. He's a
right?
problem in the open field. But I just don't know if do you really want to open your backup quarterback to taking those kind of hits?
Here's where I get torn because as I'm saying it and I'm sounding all excited
Mm-hmm.
because I absolutely think it would be exciting to watch Justin Fields return some kicks. I think
Yeah,
he probably might take a couple to the house, but with that excitement, I still don't want to see it because I feel like
it's
you're gonna. What's that?
risk reward. I can't
Well,
say reward. I'm a little high, so my
that
mouth is.
and that and then I feel like you start putting him into this gimmicky role. And so
Mhm.
instead of bringing Justin Fields to Pittsburgh to do what you want him to do, and that's develop into a quarterback, now you're going to start putting him at wide receiver. You're going to put him at running back. You're going to have him returning kicks. So he's going to be
Yep.
doing everything but developing at quarterback. And then next year or in 2 years, we're sitting here at the same spot with Justin Fields again, and we're talking about why is Justin Fields why hasn't he developed at a quarterback? And it's
Yeah.
because now he has done everything but play quarterback. So I don't want to
Mhm.
see it. I know a lot of people are probably going to want to see it, but those are my thoughts. If we want to see Justin Fields be the quarterback that a lot of us think he can be, this ain't what I think. That this ain't it, Chief. This ain't it.
Right. Right. And
Maybe
you don't pick him up to for this, right?
right.
Um,
If you make it to the Super Bowl though, and like you're down, if you make it to the Super Bowl, throw them anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, or if
yeah.
it's the playoffs or something like that, I get that. But don't plan to have your season as Justin Fields as a returner, a receiver. Maybe we do some different sets to get him in there. Maybe he can play receiver every once in a while because yeah, I get he's probably the most dynamic player on the team.
Mhm.
But
I
I
think
don't
there are a lot of things you can do with him, though, right? So you're going to want to have packages for him. Obviously, they're going to be goal line packages to get him in the game. It's not just going to be the Russell Wilson show. I don't know how many of those packages are going to include him split out wide or lined up
right,
in the backfield or whatever. Um, but I think there are some things that you can do with the kickoff that don't necessarily require him to be the lead carrier, right? You can use him almost like a Music City Miracle type of deal, as a decoy, right? Like he comes in the game, he's just a special play, special situation, right? You bring him in the game, he gets the ball, he runs to one side, throws it to the other, whatever, right? I'm sure that they're going to be designing some plays. If this is the thing that they're talking about doing, they're going to be designing ways to move the ball, not necessarily have Justin Fields, like you were saying, be in a primary kickoff return situation to where he's going to be like taking hits that a backup quarterback shouldn't take. To your point, we don't want to see his development stunted any more than it already has been
right.
sitting up in Chicago. He deserves an opportunity to learn how to play the quarterback position in a professional environment like Pittsburgh. And I hope that he gets that opportunity.
I agree. I agree. So
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that with the Justin Fields. Earlier when we talked about Ryan Garcia, you know, using some PEDs to pulverize Devin Haney. The next topic we were going to continue on with that was talking about this Mike Tyson and Jake Paul being sanctioned as a professional fight. My guy, it's only going to be 2 minute rounds. It's only going to be 8 rounds. It's going to be
And
10-ounce
it,
gloves instead of 14-ounce gloves, no headgear, which I
it's
think that's,
10 instead of 14.
yeah, 10 instead of 14. I believe that's what I
I
saw.
think it's 14 instead of 10.
That could be it too. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's the other way because they're fighting with pillowcases. They're fighting with pillows in their hands.
Well, it was well, 18 was what they were talking about originally.
Was it?
Yeah, it was 18 originally. I just had it pulled up. I got rid of it, but whatever. Well, regardless, it's sanctioned as a professional fight.
Yeah, they're
What
at
do you,
14.
what do you,
So the standard pro is 10 ounces, and they're
oh,
fighting with 14.
well, excuse me. Um,
No, it's a relevant point though, because like that's a big deal. 4 ounces, that's a big deal. It's a soft glove.
yeah, man, I wish I had I don't know where I had it. I had an article up where it was George Foreman was commenting on it, and he just said it's basically a sparring match.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so,
They're
I
not
don't-
in any danger.
but I still think, well, I don't know, man. I think Jake Paul might still be in some danger.
Yeah.
George Foreman said, watching the videos, no. Floyd came out and Floyd was talking trash. And so Floyd was like, that all looks good when you're throwing those punches on someone who's not punching back. But when Jake's throwing punches back, I think it's going to be a different result. So I think that Mayweather's trying to push the agenda of he thinks that Jake Paul's going to win the fight. Um,
Money, bro. Follow the money.
I know. If you're Floyd, you got to make people go the opposite way that you're going to go so that you can get your bet up because Floyd's betting.
Floyd's
Floyd
betting.
putting down a couple
Floyd's
million.
betting. Floyd's
Yeah,
betting. I believe shit Floyd got to say right now.
yeah.
No disrespect to Floyd Mayweather, but I don't believe you, guy. I
Yeah.
don't. I'll believe when you pull that betting slip out. I'll know exactly how you feel when you
Who you
post
got in
that
the
bet slip on TikTok.
Who you got in the fight?
I'm picking Tyson.
What
First of all, like I'm not. I'm picking Tyson.
round?
I can't not pick him. Like,
What
how am I
round?
going to pick Jake Paul? What am I? A cuck? No.
Yes, you are. But what round?
Grown fucking man. I think it goes to full. I think it's a decision. Nobody's in any danger with 14-ounce gloves. You got a 5-round KO. Tyson. Oh, you think Jake Paul's going to knock Tyson out in the 5th round?
No, come on, man. I was joking. Yeah, Tyson in the
Okay.
fifth. Tyson in the fifth.
Okay. How many rounds is it? 6?
Eight. The
8?
Ocho. The
Oh,
Ocho.
I think they'll get to 8.
You
I
think
think they'll
so?
get to 8. Yeah. 14 ounces are huge, dog. You ever felt a 14-ounce glove?
Yeah, but I've seen Jake Paul in danger, and I feel like they always use 14-ounce gloves. And even if they haven't, I still feel like I've seen him in danger against
Yeah.
some like the first time he fought what's my dude's name? He fought that one dude from UFC twice. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Um the dude who
Diaz.
nah, the black guy. Um who
Oh, Rashad Evans.
no, it starts with a W, Woodley. When he
Oh,
fought
Tyron Woodley. Yeah.
Yeah, when he fought Woodley, Woodley had him on the ropes the first time. Woodley should have knocked him out. But it looks like
Yeah.
that when people say that the fight might be thrown, like they might have thrown the fight, I can
Mhm.
kind of believe it because when you're watching the fight, there's a point to where all Woodley has to do is just step forward and throw two more punches because Jake Paul is like this. Like the nigga's not defending himself. He's in the ropes. And if Woodley
Mhm.
hits those two more punches, he knocks him out. It's just like
Mhm.
what happens in boxing, but he didn't. So I feel like if Tyron Woodley, who isn't known for striking, who's more of a wrestler, obviously he was an
Mhm.
all-American wrestler,
Right.
if he almost knocks out Jake Paul, I think Mike Tyson, I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck if they're 18-ounce gloves, probably could still knock him out with no headgear. It's just my opinions.
Yeah. I think he could. It could happen. I just don't know that it will. I don't, Mike's 50,
9.
59.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That nigga's almost as old as my dad,
Yeah. And that's a kid. He's a kid and he's in great shape. That kid is. And stamina goes a long way.
but he doesn't have
Yeah.
stamina.
Who doesn't?
Jake Paul, he always looks tired at the end of the fights.
He's been better. Well, I mean, if you should look tired at the end of the fight. Like, if you don't, I don't know what you were
I'm
doing in
talking
there.
about, but like if we're talking about like a 10-round fight, he looking tired by like round 6. So like
Dog, 6 rounds is
I know,
exhausting. And
I
he's still learning, right? So you got to think like those first few fights, he hasn't been in that environment at all. And so there's that huge adrenaline dump at the beginning of the fight. There just has to be, right? You have to learn how to control that dragon. Like it's not just a thing you walk out like, let's go, dragon. Nah, that motherfucker, all that crowd, that testosterone, that energy. There's an opponent across from me trying to whoop your ass. Man, I can't even imagine what that's got to feel like, dude. And so I feel like he's only going to get better in that regard. I'm not saying like he's going to become such a good fighter that, real fighters need to be wary of him, but I think that he'll survive the fight. I don't think that he'll get KO'd.
I think
When was
he's
the last
not.
time Mike Tyson knocked somebody out?
Well, they say when he fought Roy Jones, they had rules in place where he couldn't punch through.
I don't
So
want to hear that shit. I want to hear the last time that he knocked somebody out. I don't want to hear he coulda, shoulda, woulda. Because I watched that fight and wasn't nobody getting knocked out in that shit. wasn't nobody getting, and again, no one was in danger.
right. Well, he's not throwing full force punches.
Huh?
He's not throwing full force punches.
Look, when was the last time Mike Tyson knocked somebody out?
You're right there. I would say when's the last time Jake Paul knocked somebody out, but that is not fair because he's not fighting
And that's
box. He's
not the
not
question.
he's not
Like, I
knocking out
don't,
boxers. I
yeah,
know
and
you're right.
neither
I
one of
know.
us
I
thinks that
know.
he's going to knock Tyson out. So,
I know this
wouldn't that
sucks.
be crazy if he did? What if he did?
Dude, if he knocked out Mike Tyson, oh my God. I don't know if I turn the TV on for a day. I don't know if I couldn't take the news exposure. And I'm not one of those people that hate on Jake Paul or Logan Paul. Like, I think it's dope
Right.
that Jake
You
Paul's
did just
still
say they're
boxing.
cheating and that all these fights are fixed.
Well, but I mean, do whatever you do, man. Whatever, it's not like real boxing. I know what I'm saying. Like, I don't consider this like the real shit. I consider this
Yeah,
like
this is entertainment.
I consider this like wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a wrestling fan, so like if I can watch wrestling, I can watch Jake Paul productions for boxing and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm here for the entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Let me get
Uh,
the storyline and shit with this motherfucker. I see the
right.
heel. You know what I'm saying? I see the face. Let's go. But that's how I see it. That's how I see this shit, man. So, but I think Jake Paul is good for boxing. And I rock with Joe. I like Logan Paul, the fact that he's doing wrestling and all this other stuff, because it's like these dudes are already big ass brands. So whether people want to give it, it's the honest to God truth, and whether people want to acknowledge it or not, Logan Paul, his brand is as big as WWE. Jake Paul's brand is as big as boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like with all their following and all that other shit, because these
Mhm.
niggas got 40, 50 million people following that will follow them do anything. You see what their pay-per-views do, you see all that other shit. And
Mhm.
instead of getting in these spaces and just simply trying to take advantage of these spaces and like trying to not do it justice, these motherfuckers are giving 1000%. They're giving more percent than anybody else gives to anything else in their life. So when you're watching like Logan Paul, he is a fucking phenomenal wrestler. He is a great professional wrestler, and he's only been doing it for a couple of years. When you look at Jake Paul, he may not be phenomenal, but for a nigga that's only been boxing for 3 years, he's doing a good job. He's bringing money to the sport. He's bringing up these female boxers and shit that have never been getting any props or anything given to their name. You know what I'm saying? He's
Mhm.
putting all these other people on his undercards. He's pressuring Dana White to try to pay the UFC fighters
Yes,
more
he
money and
does do
shit.
that.
Like
Yeah.
he fucking Jake Paul, yo, whether you like or love all the shit that he's done in his life, when it comes to this fighting shit and like all that shit, these Paul brothers have put a lot into this shit to help a lot of people and try
They have.
to make a lot of people money. So
Yeah.
I can't hate him for that shit. Like I was like when they first started boxing, I was like, oh fuck Jake Paul. I was one of those dudes, but the more as I watch them work and move and maneuver, they're bringing their homies into the shit. So they're bringing
Yeah.
like I Show Speed into freaking WrestleMania. You just gave this dude I Show Speed his life dream moment. Cause like, yo,
Yeah. That's
imagine if the
cool.
homie was like, hey, I'm about to be in WrestleMania. I'm the Intercontinental Champion and shit. You want to come on over, or I'm the US champion. You want to come on over here and I'm gonna let Randy Orton RKO you on a table, dog, at WrestleMania.
Hell yeah.
Fam,
Hell yeah.
are you doing
Run
it?
it. Hell yeah. Run it.
Run it,
Run
dog,
it.
run it. So,
Two
um,
times. Two
right.
times.
Last year it was KSI. So it's like
Yep, I remember.
they're bringing their
Yep.
homies into this shit, so that they can get some props and they can get some recognition, all that shit too. I'm not rooting for Jake Paul on this shit, but I'm rooting for them to continue to do what they're doing, their
Yeah.
family, both them dudes.
You would lose all credibility in your household if you rooted for Jake Paul in this fight.
Well, it's a good thing
You
I
might
live in
not
a
be allowed
household
back.
it's a good thing I live in a household of one. So, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no
You couldn't
roommates.
look in the mirror.
I gotta look in the mirror every
You
day.
couldn't. You couldn't look in the mirror, man. You wouldn't even feed yourself. You walk in the kitchen. You don't deserve to eat. Fuck
You
out of this
don't
kitchen.
deserve. You don't believe what you were telling these hoes.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna watch. It's gonna be a lot of fun. These productions that the Pauls put on are great. They're
Right,
always fun.
right.
There's a bar up the street here that does all the main events, all
Is
the boxing, all the UFC and shit, WrestleMania. They do all of it. So I'll probably go up there and hang out with them.
is
It'll be
some
a good time. Matter of fact, I'm gonna give them a shout out real quick. Blue Ultra Lounge up on fucking Maple. Yeah. If you are here in Omaha and you like to go check out, and this is not a paid thing, by the way, I just fucks with these motherfuckers. And you like to go watch, these main events, these pay-per-views, man, go check them out. Great drink specials. People are gonna be good to you. It's a good time.
Oh wow. You know what I didn't see?
So
Oh, because I was wondering, I had to look it up because I was thinking, well, I wonder if he's got Amanda, Soriano on an undercard of this Tyson
mhm.
fight. Dude, she fighting Katie Taylor again.
Yeah.
Do you know who Katie
I didn't
Taylor
see the
is?
first one. Nah.
Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano are probably the best two women fighters of all time, boxers of all time. And they had like everybody probably thought it was Amanda Serrano before they fought the first time. And Katie
Mhm.
Taylor pulled that bitch out. And then like at the beginning, the first half of the fight, Serrano was giving her the work. And then all of a sudden the fucking tides of the fight changed. It was kind of
Mhm.
like I don't want to say it was some shit like when Floyd fights or like when Terrence Crawford fight, you know how normally they lose the first two, maybe three rounds or whatever because they're
Yeah.
just filling out their opponent. Nah,
Mhm.
Amanda Serrano was fucking whooping her ass. And then all of a sudden, fucking in the middle of the fight, it just fucking switched up. And then Katie Taylor started putting it on her. Like that's one of the greatest fights. You should watch that fight. It's on YouTube. It's one of the
I
greatest
think I
women.
did see. I think I saw part of it. I'll have to watch it again.
It's
I do love fights like that.
It's one,
I
yeah,
do love.
it's one of the best women's fights you'll ever see, and it looks like they're gonna fight as the undercard of the Tyson Paul
When
fight.
is that?
I think it's what is it? Is it August 3rd or July 3rd? I gotta get the date on that. Give me 1 second. You can go while
I
I
might
find
be
the
in
date.
Vegas, bro. Is that shit in Vegas?
No, I think it's in Dallas. I think.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
it's in Dallas.
I got a buddy that's going to Vegas to shoot. And he's a videographer. So he's going to be out there next month for about a month and a half. So a few of us are going to fucking hop on a plane, go check him out in Vegas and do the thing
Yeah,
out in July. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
July 20th. July 20th is the fight.
Okay. In Dallas, man, I might try and go to that.
I'll be in July. I'll be in Vegas July. Hey yo, I'm
And
going
we might
back
be
to
able to make this work because we haven't set a date yet. We ain't set a date
hey
yet. When are you
yo.
going to be in Vegas?
Hey, well, I'm going back the 17th. I'll be there the 17th.
Okay.
I can change my plane ticket though. I can upgrade my ticket and change my second ticket. I can be in Vegas for this fight. I'm not just saying that shit to say this shit because I gotta take my kids back to
Okay.
Vegas on the 17th because my kids are gonna be here from June 27th to the 17th of July. My kids live in Vegas.
Mhm.
So I'll
Yeah,
be
let's
in
figure this out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We can hit up Porter Rock too.
Yeah,
I've been
Puerto
meaning to
Rock,
see him since he retired. I've been
Imperial.
meaning to.
Imperial lives up there.
Okay, that's what's
Yeah,
up. Hey, we're gonna make something happen. But
yeah,
real quick, let's wrap this up real quick. Don't nobody want to hear us make vacation plans.
yeah, 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 yeah.
We
Yeah. So we've got two more topics. Real quick though, we'll bang out both of them real quick. We can bang them out.
have two
Um,
more ones. Yeah.
we got Jimmy Butler.
Yep.
So Jimmy Butler, the talk is he's looking for his contract extension. It's looking like the numbers right now are 2 years for $113 million. There's been a lot of fuss already on the internet on whether yes or no Jimmy should get that bread. Um, I'm steadfast on what I think. Pretty sure everybody knows what I think. Pay that man. But Perm, what do you think?
Before I get into what I think, because I'm still trying to figure out what I think, why don't you tell us why you think it's a good idea? Jimmy's what, 34 now? Is he 34?
Yeah, Jimmy's probably 34,
He's
but
34. Like what is it? What are the pros to bringing him back on that 2 year deal?
well, if you bring Jimmy back on that 2 year deal, obviously playoff Jimmy is a thing. Himmy is him. He is him. We all know that. Jimmy's taken Miami to the finals 2 years and 2 out of the last 4 years, right? So out of the
But the
East Coast,
last 2 years, that didn't happen. So he took the team to the
no, he went
finals.
last year.
Did they go?
They lost to Denver.
Oh, right, 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 right.
So that's not even that far removed. So
Yeah.
yeah, he was injured this year. We don't know what happens if
He
he's
did
not
play,
injured this year,
what, 60 games this year?
but he was injured in the playoffs. So that's why they
Yeah.
lost in the first round. Well, guaranteed. We don't know what would have happened if he doesn't get injured. You can assume what you want, but we know that Miami's beaten Boston like 3 out of the last 4 years in the playoffs. So that has to be noted. I feel like you give him 2 more years because let's say that he's garbage in the first year of the extension, then you
Mhm.
can just trade him for somebody who's looking to dump, you know what I'm saying, who's looking for
Yeah.
buyouts. Like there's a market in the NBA for buyouts. So if he's just looking for a 2 year extension, I give Jimmy the 2 year extension because he's already outplayed his previous contract. May not have won a
Mhm.
championship, but y'all don't have a championship roster. You know what I'm saying? Like you got Jimmy who's willing all these other dudes and some players with heart and a great coach, but you don't have a championship roster. He's maximized the potential of him, his teammates. You pay him 2 more years. You keep the fans coming. You know, you retire Jimmy's number when his career's over. That's what you do if you're Miami and Jimmy Butler.
All of that is very well said, and I wouldn't argue with any of it, honestly. You bring him back. I think you got to do something with the roster, though. Kyle Lowry's not it, you know.
Lowry's not there no more. They traded Lowry
Oh, right.
for your boy from Charlotte.
Yeah.
Who played for Boston. What's his Rozier, Terry
Yeah.
Rozier. Yeah.
Tyler Hero, I think it's time to move on. I think what you have to have around Jimmy Butler is another guy who can go get a bucket. Tyler Hero inconsistently is a bucket getter. He's a very good shooter. I would just like to see them upgrade next to Jimmy Butler. I don't know where you get that though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. So that's my only issue, I guess. Like, you have to re-sign him because the other option would basically be blowing up the team. And you're
So
so close to being top of the charts for in the Eastern Conference that you just can't do that.
so
Right?
I
Like, there's
saw
no benefit to it.
I saw something on Bleacher Report today that said that said Kevin Durant's next destination stop, or the odds on favorite are for Kevin Durant to land in Miami.
Okay.
So
What do you have to give up to get him though?
that's exactly what I was going to get at next, because if I'm Miami, as crazy as this sounds, I don't give up Jimmy Butler for Kevin Durant. You know what I'm
No.
saying? And I don't really give up Bam Adebayo for Kevin Durant either, because he's so young.
No.
Um, so you're looking at a package with like maybe Terry Rozier and Tyler Hero, but does that look good to Phoenix? It gives them a point guard that they need, and you still
But
get
a point
outside
guard
shooting.
who's a middling point guard.
Right. But then you just get another guard as to where, Durant can play power forward, small forward. Now you don't have a power forward,
Yeah.
because you have Hero and then two other guards, small forwards. So
And I've already told you, I don't think that Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant, first of all, would mix personality wise.
they played on the
I don't,
Olympics together. They get along. They're cool. They get
everybody
along.
gets along on the
Did you
Olympics.
see? You ever see the video where they interview Jimmy Butler, and I should pull that shit up. We should watch that. But they interview Jimmy Butler, and they're asking him if he could have played football, and he's like, "Yeah, I could have played wide receiver or tight end or whatever, something like that." And so then when he's done with his interview, they pull in Kevin Durant, and they're like, "Yo, Kevin, did you hear Jimmy said he could play wide receiver in the NFL?" Kevin looked over, he looked at the receivers and said, Jimmy's a fucking idiot. Jimmy Jimmy comes walking back into the scene, and it's just a really funny scene. You can see they probably have pretty good chemistry. They look like they get along real well. It was like a behind the scenes footage of like the 20 Olympics or something like that. Good footage. But you know,
Kevin Durant, I'm sure that, Kevin Durant and Draymond got along great during
the glory
Olympic.
years, the honeymoon
And,
stage.
yeah, it was all good. But I think Kevin Durant has a way of wearing on you. He's one of those, like Amari Cooper, just one of those kind of not so like, the professional sports is littered with alpha personalities, right?
Right.
But then you also have guys who would be what I think they refer to as like a Sigma personality, who are more stoic, right? And so those stoic people can often come off when you spend long periods of time with them, they can come off as arrogant, apathetic, right? All that kind of stuff because they don't rise and fall too much with the good or the bad. So when things are going bad, it seems like they don't care, right? And so
Right.
that's a Kevin Durant thing. Seems like he doesn't care enough. He just comes out, he's automatic. He does fucking same shit, Slim Reaper, right? Amari Cooper was that way, is that way. People just see it like when things are down, he's just kind of like, whatever, man, I dropped the ball. What do you want me to do? I'll catch the next one. And Mo's like, we need you to care. We need you to do all the alpha shit. And so I'm just curious how that would work with a guy who's also kind of a Sigma in fucking, he's just definitely a troller in Kevin or in Jimmy Butler. I don't know if you want to, how much you want to give up given that relationship, right? A potential relationship.
I think they'd be fine, man. I think they'd be fine.
Where
I
is
think they'd
Kevin
be
Durant
good.
ever fine? Like Kevin
I
Durant's
guess you're
never
right. I
fine
guess you're,
anywhere.
yo, you got me there. You got me there.
It's always something everywhere. And at some point, you just have to take that to be what it is.
You
And
know
it's
what we
not that he's a bad guy. And it's not that he's a bad player, that he's a locker room killer. It's just that I don't want him. I don't want to give up too much to get him because now look what Phoenix did. Look
right,
what Brooklyn did.
right,
Right.
right. Both these franchises are crippled after that man leaves.
Yeah.
All right,
And the
guys.
only reason that Golden State's not is because they were ready made when he got there.
And then they traded him and got draft
But
picks. And
imagine
then
maybe
they
what
traded.
happens if they get rid of Draymond, right? Maybe they get rid of Draymond. And so now you have the big three with KD and Clay can't handle it anymore. And Steph wants out. And now you have nothing, right? Maybe, potentially. I don't know.
I think Steph and OKD are good though, man. They always look good. I never seen them look like they
Yeah.
had an awkward moment in public. And normally, you know how it is. If you see a nigga for the first time and y'all didn't end on good terms, you're gonna size them up before you know what I'm saying, you move towards them. They always look like as soon as they got on the court, they were all, it was always walk right
Yeah,
to
they
each
seem
other.
chill. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They
So
seem good.
I think it was just the Draymond shit. And then that's a rough situation for Steph and for Clay. Because it's like Draymond's your boy, and that's the nigga that ride or dies for you. That nigga rides for y'all. If there's any problem
Mhm.
on the court, Dre the nigga that's going,
That's
he's the
O-Dog.
right, right.
It's
So
O-Dog, man.
you're
It's like that dude that you can't hate ever because
but
he's
Kate
done too much for you.
But then KD is like the new homie who fucking ain't done shit wrong to you either. And he's like the perfect friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
the
like
perfect friend.
the
Exactly.
perfect
And you
friend. He's not too loud. The
know,
motherfucker, you know what
you
I'm
can
saying?
take him
Don't
everywhere.
right.
He
He don't
picks
get
up
on your
checks.
nerves, never gets
Yeah.
on your nerves. You know what I'm saying? Isn't too cocky
Yeah.
or arrogant. Like
Yep.
he just wants to be a part of the team, you know?
Yep.
The friend that everybody wants is what Kevin Durant is as a basketball player.
Yep.
But since he's so goddamn talented, I feel like that's why that's his hurt.
Everybody
He's
expects so much from him,
right,
more
but
than
he's
he's
not
ever wanted to give.
right. But he's like, I just want to go out there and play basketball.
I
I'm
don't
not
want
like
to
trying to
lead a
yell at this.
team or
Yeah,
play
I'm
on a
not trying to
team.
yell at this nigga. I'm not trying to scream at this nigga.
Yeah.
Like that's not me. That's not who I am. Y'all want me to be somebody I'm not. And I feel him. He's super introverted, and I feel him.
Yep.
And then people they think because he gets on Twitter and he does his Twitter thing that he should be like that on the court, but it's different. I understand niggas be on the computer, Twitter fingers, you know what I'm saying? Trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers, you know what I'm saying? Like it's easier to talk shit on the internet than it is in real life. So from
I mean,
here,
for
we got
motherfuckers who ain't used to talking shit in real life, yeah, it's real
well, hey,
easy.
hey
You know me, I'm a shit talker in real life. Pull up.
the producers will tap it in real quick. We got one more little segment for y'all. We're gonna bring a segment to y'all each week. I'm not sure how we're gonna play this in, or we might play it in a couple of times throughout the podcast, since it seems as if the podcast is gonna be, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours each time. It's called This Ninja. So you know what I'm saying? This ninja. Every time we see this ninja make a mess up in the sports world, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the sports world. It can be just the world. We'll keep this current events. But this week's ninja goes to no other than Offset. All right, guys. So as you see here, it looks as if Offset was here at the New York Knicks game, dressed up like a lesbian cowboy pirate, potentially biker. I mean, what y'all think about this fit right here?
Oh my God.
Bruh,
Is that a coach fucking bandana? It is.
bro, he's got on the bandana, but the boots though, the boots is what did it. So I feel like I might have been able to overlook everything. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know about the midriff jacket though. A midriff leather jacket is
Fucking
nasty
wild,
work.
dude.
in the
It's
spring.
just wild.
That's nasty work in the spring, my dude. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like it's wintertime. And like that's still nasty work. He looks like somebody's auntie. Um, you know what I'm saying? When they get up in the morning and they go to the store and they don't have their hair done. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying?
You're giving bonnet vibes right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. He's giving auntie vibes right now. You
The
know what I'm
whole
saying?
thing. Well, when you showed me earlier, the first time that I saw this, I didn't see the boots. Right, you had the picture cut off, basically right under the top of the boot, and so I was looking at it, and it doesn't really like it just looked weird, right? Like it's a weird fit, whatever. But then you zoomed out, and I saw the boots, and the whole shit fell apart, man. Like the whole thing fucking lit fire, straight dumpster fire. The jeans, what the fuck, man? How do you get into those?
Right. I,
It
I still,
must take a team of people to get into those pants.
bro, and then like the belt, you know what I'm saying? Like, nigga, how's your belt buckle hanging off to the side? How's your
And
how is your belt buckle sassy? You know
I
what I'm
didn't even want
saying?
to say nothing about the belt buckle. I was
Yo,
gonna leave it
yo,
alone.
how
I
is your
didn't even
belt
want
buckle
to.
sassy, dog? I don't even know how that's a possibility. Like, look, I'm not here to call a whole bunch of stuff sassy and to call guys stuff like that because have your own fashion and rock it. But bro, there are too many sassy things in this picture. We got the freaking bonnet, not the bonnet, but the bandana.
It's which is giving Thelma and Louise vibes if I've
Right,
ever seen
right,
it.
right,
I feel
right.
like he's gonna go beat his they're gonna go kill his ex-husband.
The midriff leather jacket into the sassy belt with the yeast infection pants,
It's
tucked,
all
tucked in, tucked in,
these pants.
tucked into the boots. Oh my God, the boots are not it, man. So,
Your man finna call Computer Blue out this bitch. He looks like he's should be part of the revolution.
all right, guys, that's what we got for you guys today on this episode of Something on Sports featuring Perm. From my guy over here, New Orleans, aka the Big Easy. You know what I'm saying? Say peace out to the people.
Peace out to the people.
We appreciate you guys as always. Make sure you guys drop that elbow on the like button, hit subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we'll catch you in the next one.
All that. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Is this your Tinder video profile right now?
Hello,
I'm
girls.
looking for a friend.
To each and every last one of you
Ladies.
guys out there.
Yeah, don't come holler at me. I'm broken. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm broken. Leave me alone. I am not taking applications right now. Stay away.
I might put this in as an outtake.
I will fuck your life up.